everyone, this is your teacher Sandra. Today we are going to study Unit 10, Part 1, Society. For this reason, I am going to share the grammar section, uses of like, present passive, and past passive, complaining. In the vocabulary part, we will know how to describe a city, crime and punishment, and problems. In the reading section, you will read about the best cities for young people, read an article about crime and punishment. In the listening comprehension, you will listen to conversations about different cities, listen to people complaining, and watch an extra from a documentary about an internet sensation. In the speaking part, we will discuss different places, discuss alternative punishment to fit the crimes, talk about problems in a school, and talk about an important issue. And in the writing part, you will learn how to use formal expressions to write an email and write about an issue. So, do you know what is a definition of society? Society is a large group of people who live together in an organized way, making decisions about how to do things and sharing the work that needs to be done. And the English level of this word is B1. Now, I'm going to share a nice quote about society. Society is like the air necessary to breathe, but insufficient to live on. It was said by George Santayana, and I really like this quote. Now, we are going to start. For this reason, my recommendation is to look up page 98 and 165 to study the best part. Work in pairs and discuss what the young people want in a city. What do you think are the world best cities for young people to live in? Next, the recommendation is to read the test and which cities do you think will be the least on the list? Look at page 165 to find out the answers. Best cities for young people. So in this part, you are going to see some important issues. The world's biggest and most important cities are not necessarily the best cities to live in, especially for young people. Many of them are really expensive, have traffic problems, poor public transportation or transport systems, and high crime rates. Young people looking for somewhere to study or to live are carefree and want to explore new lifestyles. Have a look at our list of the top 10 cities for young people to live in. According to this, the survey results are the world's best cities for young people to live is number 1, Vienna, number 2, New York, number 3, Helsinki, number 4, Melbourne, number 5, Salvador, number 6, Dubai, number 7, Vancouver, number 8, Prague, number 9, Edinburgh, and number 10, Paris. Do you agree with this list? Very good. Now, in this part, we are going to listen a recording and look at these three amazing pictures about Dubai, Prague, and Melbourne. Pay attention, read the sentences, and what do you consider? Are they positive or negative?
Unit 10. Society. Recording S10.1.
1.
It has clean, safe streets.
2.
The public transportation system is terrible.
3.
There's a lot of traffic.
4.
It has beautiful buildings.
5.
The people are friendly and polite.
6.
There's a lot of crime.
7.
It's very polluted.
8.
There are nice parks and green spaces.
9.
It has good shopping and nightlife.
10.
There are lots of things to see and do.
11.
It's expensive to live there.
12.
It's very crowded.
All right, so according to this, in exercise B, they say sentences stressed. Listen to the sentences again and underline the words of syllables which are stressed. Example 1, it has clean, safe streets. 2, the public transport or transportation system is terrible. So, in listening to this, the ways that you want to, it makes you improve your pronunciation. Now we are going to have three conversations and listen to the conversations and look at the photos. Dubai, Melbourne, and Prague in the previous page, and which cities does each speaker talk about? What do they think about it? Now, exercise B, listen again, and which city has the three things? Free trams or free beautiful buildings and squares, a lot of bars and clubs, cafes and street art, cheap taxis, and castle. Listen to the conversation and major on answers.
Unit 10. Recording S10.2. Conversation 1.
Daniela, so you live in Melbourne, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, Melbourne has been voted one of the best cities to live in for young people. So what do you think? Do you like living in Melbourne?
I love it. Melbourne is a really great city. It's very friendly and fun. There are lots of things to see and do.
Okay, so you can go out a lot?
Yeah, it's very artsy. There are lots of cafes and street art, music, and the nightlife is really good. People like to enjoy themselves in Melbourne.
That's great. And what about getting around? What's the public transportation like?
Public transportation is really good, actually. It's quite cheap and it's efficient. You can go everywhere by streetcar and sometimes it's even free.
So what do you like best about living in Melbourne?
I think it's probably the atmosphere. Also, it's a great location. It's really close to some fantastic beaches, so there's surfing. It has everything, really. It's a great city.
Conversation 2.
Rick, you've lived in Dubai for, 4 years, right?
Yeah, 4 years.
So, what's it like living in Dubai?
Well, I read that Dubai is one of the world's fastest growing cities, so there are a lot of people and it's very crowded. It's a great city for shopping and going out. And it has a really good nightlife with lots of bars and clubs.
Is it a safe city?
Yes, there isn't a lot of crime. The streets are very safe, but one of the biggest problems is the traffic. Everyone drives a car here. Gas is still cheap, so the traffic's terrible. One good thing is the taxis, though. There are lots of them, and they're cheap, so you don't have to drive.
Conversation 3.
What about Prague? What's Prague like, Matt?
I've always loved Prague. I think it's definitely one of the best cities in the world.
What do you like best about living in Prague?
I think it has to be the city itself. It's so beautiful. It's like the city of your dreams, with beautiful buildings and squares. The old streets are wonderful to walk along. It is full of culture, music, bars, restaurants.
What about the weather? What's the weather like in Prague?
Yeah, okay. When I arrived in Prague, it was -7 degrees Celsius. So obviously it gets very cold in the winter. And there is a lot of snow. But in the summer, the sun shines and you can sit outside in the cafes or walk up to the castle. It's a very special city and the people are so friendly.
All right, so I have an important information to give you. In number one, free trams in English, this is British English. In American English, you can say streetcars. So you can make your own and answers about which cities that these three cents or this cents. let's continue. In the next part, we are going to practice the grammar section. Number 1, uses of like. When we use like with a verb to talk about things you like. Example, what do you like doing in the evening? I like going out at the evening. So we use as like plus verb. In affirmative or positive, I like living in the city. In the negative form, it depends on the personal pronoun that you are using. For example, she or he doesn't like living in the city. And when we ask questions, we invert the order and use an auxiliary verb. In this case, do you like going out in the evening? Or with a question word, where do you like going out in the evening? When we have another use of like, be like plus preposition. Example, what is he, she, it, in this case, Antigua, like? What is your new house like? So we use a preposition at the end of the sentence to ask for a description. We use be like plus preposition to ask about a description. Example, what is the city like? It's a big city with a lot of traffic. Note, you need to be careful to not confuse the two forms. Question, what's it like? And answer, it's a lovely city. And don't use like it very much, okay? So be careful with that. We have two uses with a verb and with a preposition. With a verb, we use it to talk about things you like, and with a preposition, we use it to ask for a description. Now we are going to see some examples. Now, in your book, you are going to have a match uses of like. First of all, we use be like to describe or give your opinion about something. This you can see on question number 1. What's pro like? And number 2, use like plus verb to talk about something you enjoy, think is nice. So you can see in a sentence A, I love it, Melbourne. It's a really great city. So according to this, you can answer the questions and match to the appropriate answer. What is pro like? What's the weather like? Do you like living in Melbourne? What's the public transportation or transport like? And what do you like best about living in Melbourne? And the answers, the probably answers are, I love it. Melbourne is a really great city. B is a very beautiful city. C is a very cold in the winter. D, I think is probably the atmosphere. And E, public transport is really good actually. So you can match from 1 to 5 with the answers A to E. Now, in this part, we are going to listen to a conversation about using questions with like. Pay attention.
Unit 10. Recording S10.3.
1,
I've never been to Madrid. What's it like?
It's a beautiful city. There's a great atmosphere, and the people are really friendly.
What's it like?
2,
Do you like living in Moscow?
I love it. It's one of the best cities in the world.
Do you like living in Moscow?
3,
What's your new apartment like?
It's very small, but it's near the city center.
What's your new apartment like?
4,
What do you like best about living in Rome?
The food. I love Italian food.
Listening to this, you can practice the uses of like. In exercise B, listen to check and then listen again and repeat the questions. Rewrite the questions by changing or removing the words in bold, and you can work in pairs with someone that you want to improve your English and ask and answer the questions. What's it like? Do you like living in Moscow? What's your apartment like? Remember, you can say in English, British English, flat, and in American English, you can say apartment.
What do you like best about living?
Now, in this part, you are going to study vocabulary about crime and punishment. So we have matched the words in bold from text in exercise 2 with definitions from 1 to 9. A person who steals things is a thief. Time that is spent in prison, sentence. Number 3, writing or drawing on public walls, doors is a graffiti. 4, doing unpaid work to help your town city is a community service. 5, stealing things is a theft. 6, a person who steals things from shops is a shoplifter. 7, cheating someone to make money from them is a fraud. 8, stealing things from a shop is shoplifting. And 9, an amount of money that you have to pay is a fine. So in this part, you have a chart or a table, and you need to put the words in the correct places. What is a criminal, the crime, and the punishment? The criminal in this sentence that we found, thief and shoplifter. Crime, we found 3 crimes: fraud, writing graffiti, theft, and punishment, we have fine, community service, and sentence. Now, in the next part, we are going to have a reading that I picked already to have in the photo number 4, make the punishment fit the crime. For this reason, you need to read the introduction to an article and answer these 3 questions. Number 1, what did the man go wrong? Number 2, what was his punishment? And number 3, what's alternative sentencing? So I consider this a very interesting reading, and you can practice an interesting way to have the words involved and everything. Go ahead. Now in the next part, on page 101 and 159, we have the vocabulary related to crime and punishment. Which words can you see in the picture? Do you see a criminal? Do you see a police officer, a judge, victim? And these are some verbs related to this: steal, break in, shoot, arrest, and investigate. Can you match any of these people to the verbs? Criminals steal things. What do police officers do? And in this part, you need to complete what did I do before. I hope that you have learned a lot of these units, so let me know and let me remember. Practice, 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 because practice makes perfect. For your attention, thank you very much, and I hope to see you in the next class. Bye-bye.